Hi everyone, welcome back to my studio. I'm Nettie K. Today we're going to continue on our little painting of Piper, my granddaughter, on an 8x10 canvas. Now, if you were with us last time, you'll know I did this really strange way of starting a portrait by covering the canvas with dark burnt sienna or dark brick color, taking thinner and wiping out the highlights instead of doing a full drawing. And then I created the form of the face by doing that. So if you haven't seen that one, make sure you go back and take a look at that. Oh boy, was it ever fun, and it took off like a rocket, and lots of people have watched it so far. I hope one of them was you. So on top of that, next time I go to camera, probably next week, I'll be doing a little bit longer version of the glazing stage of this larger painting on my Patreon channel. And the Patreon channel is where you can go and become a member for about $3 a month, and you can see some of the more extended versions of my videos, special tips. I'm going to divulge some of my deepest secrets. Oh my gosh, I hope you think that's valuable. Anyway, so we're going to set this one down for now. I'm going to get ready to film that one in a little bit, but we're going to do some beautiful colorization of the sepia, and you'll be just amazed, I hope. All right. Okay, on my palette I have an array of colors that have kind of mixed up. A couple little brushes, not too many, and this is a bit of a mess, but I've got some burnt umber for some of the darks if I need it. I've got some raw sienna that I mix with a little bit of cadmium red light, and that's the combination of my skin tone that I use most is cadmium red light, not medium, not dark, but light, that is mixed with a little bit of raw sienna, and then I mix it up with different levels of white so that I have about 6 piles of different colors going up to a light color. And then next to it I have yellow ochre mixed with white, and I'll make that as light as I need to. And I also have a purple color, which is quinacridone violet mixed with a little bit of flesh tone. And so that I might take some of the flesh tone over here. I might add a little bit of my red and a little tiny bit of teal. I just kind of mess around with it a little bit. So a lot of times I'll start with quinacridone violet, add a tiny touch of teal, and then add a little bit of my combination of raw sienna and cadmium red. I hope that makes sense. Anyway, keep watching, and I'll probably do it several times at some point, and you'll catch that one. That's one of my secrets. Okay, I don't even know. Okay, and then, oh, of course, I've got a little puddle of what's called Neo Magilp, and that's my medium. It comes from Gamblin, but you can use liquid, it doesn't matter, whatever medium of your choice. It is the glazing medium that helps it to stay transparent and gives that kind of glow that I'm looking for right now. So that's what I need. Oh, let me put a little bit more out, and then I'll show you what that jar looks like. Okay, this is the jar of Neo Magilp, and no, they don't pay me to tell you this, but I'm going to put a little bit more out because I think I'm going to need it. And then it's kind of it's just like a really loose Vaseline kind of feel to it. It gives it a nice sheen too in the end. I like it for that as well. A nice finish in the end. So okay, now right now I really kind of like this this sepia look about this. In fact, I might go back in and put in one more thing, which will be a little layer of that burnt sienna again, just to re-enhance it. So I'm going to stick some of that out too. Try not to be too tricky here. Because I like that in the background. I tried it once with dark turquoise and some other colors and, and purple, and I just didn't really like it too much. So, you just try things out, and the neat thing is you can try it out on this canvas, and if you don't like it, you just take a bunch of thinner and some towels and wipe it right off, and you're right back down to where you were. Yay, because it's been drying for a week. Okay, oil paintings, you need to let dry for a week sometimes before you mess with them. Yeah, especially if they've got a lot of white on them like this one did. Okay, so I hope you guys enjoyed this beginning process in our last video. I really loved it as well. I just thought it was so much fun. So much fun doing that wipeout technique. So now I'm just kind of cleaning my little brush out from my last little experiment. I'm going to begin by taking my brush. I'm going to dip it into the medium, that gel medium, and I'm going to initially just take a little bit of the cadmium red light, and I'm going to colorize it by putting some, and I know that looks really crazy, I'm going to colorize it by putting some of this red. I'm going to hit the nose, I'm going to hit the forehead, and then I'm going to go over here on this cheek. I'm going to take it off of there, and I'm going to hit the chin, a little bit of the lip, a little bit, and around that nose, and I think that's going to be enough to kind of get things started. And then I'm going to wipe my brush off, and I'm going to take tiny circles and begin kind of working that out from the forehead, cheeks, and chin. Actually, I'm going to take my towel and we're going to treat it just like we did the last time, which was with the glazing technique. I'm going to work from the outside in at this section and then kind of just take small circles and rub that in and colorize, basically colorize this portrait rather than painting it in full paint. Now I can do full paint too if I want, but at this stage this is what I want to see. It gives you an instant boom of that lively color. And then I'll take some of that. I'm going to go down here in the collar, just barely touching it. But that forehead, cheeks, and chin, along with the end of the nose, and I'm not getting the entire nose. I'm just taking, you know, I don't want to lose that highlight. I can go back in and re-find the highlight if I want. But that's a good way to just really kind of start it. Now I could leave this painting just like that. I'm not going to, but I could if I wanted to. Oops, there goes my picture. Okay, so now I'm going to come in at this stage with a little bit of my medium on the end of a round brush. I'm going to go in with a dark raw umber with a little bit of teal on it. And I'm going to restate these pupils right there because they've gotten kind of milky. Restate them and go around the outside of the cornea like that. This is the magic. And I'm going to do the same thing over here with the cornea. And realizing that my granddaughter's eyes are a little bit on the hazel side, so I'm going to go with that teal. And let's see, teal mixed with a little tiny bit of yellow ochre. And then I'm going to put that in right here. It's slightly light on one side. And then it's darker on the other. It's darker on the side where the light is coming from. Okay, so the light hits at the pupil. Where the pupil meets the cornea, the light hits that part, and then so it's darker under the lid and it's darker on the side where the light's coming from. I know that sounds really confusing, but then it comes out lighter on, so it hits here and it comes out on this side of the eye. Okay, I'm going to give it a little bit more blue. That's okay. She sort of has bluish eyes, and they kind of tilt down like this. They're just really, really cute. So I'm going to pull that up. We're getting exciting here. And then, let's see, I think I'm going to go ahead and jump right in with a tiny bit of white and re-emphasize just an itty-bitty little sparkle and a smaller one over here because this is in the dark side of the eye, so I don't want to get too crazy. I'm going to take a little bit of this. I don't want to make the whites of the eye super white, you guys. Don't make them white. Make them kind of a lavender or really, really not white. Just more of a grayish color. I would say it's a skin tone that's just slightly darker, okay, or slightly darker, what am I saying? Slightly lighter skin tone, if anything. You can do something like a yellow with purple, yellow with lavender, and white for the whites of the eyes. That's generally what I'll tend to do. It's just not solid white, all right, be careful of that. Alrighty, now I'm going to come in, I'm going to wipe off my brush again, and this time I'm going to get into some yellow ochre with white. Yellow ochre with white, and I'm going to emphasize these lights. And so I'm going to start with this muscle right here. It's really an important one. This muscle it's on the top of the cheek. So that's yellow ochre with white. That's where the light is hitting. And I'm going to bring that down like this and begin to kind of incorporate it into that pinky pink without hitting it too much. I don't want to lose the pink. I just want to add this color to it. Okay, and then I'm going to come up on where the light hits that nose. Just drag it in a little bit this way. And then I can see there's a light part on the ball of the nose. Think about that sphere, everybody. How to paint a sphere. If you need to do that, go back in my videos and find out how to paint a sphere. There's a tiny bit of a light that catches on the ball of the nose. And let's see, where else can I'm going to take a little bit of this and put it over here. Even though it's very, very dark on the painting, I'm just going to just glaze it, graze it. That's a glazing and grazing. Barely hitting it. I don't want it that light, but I'll go back in again. Now I'm going to come over on this side because I see this part of the temple is very light there. And then it kind of goes up into that, again, that stuff we glazed in there, that red a little bit. And the face begins to emerge. Isn't this just the most amazing thing? You got to try this. And then practice and practice and practice like I do. I've been doing this for a long time, but it's a lot of fun. And then I'm going to also take a little bit of that yellow just very lightly and find where the light is on the bottom of the chin, slightly there. And we'll have to mute that back down again. I'm not happy with this. I'm just glancing over here and I'm going, oh, don't like that. I'm going to move that down just a little bit. Okay, and then while I have this light yellow on my brush, I'm going to come down and really light up the neck of the baby right here, like that. You can just see this as I'm glancing up and down. I often will do everything at once. Okay, so I'm working the whole painting over at one time. So I don't want to stay stuck on 1 square inch of the painting if I can. Okay, under here, this is lighter than where the cheek is. So I'm actually shaping that cheek out by lightening up the neck underneath it. And it also helps create that shadow where the shirt hits. Does that make sense? Yeah. Just by what's not there. Okay. And then I can come in with my light right here and come in over by the shirt one more time. Get that going. Let's see what's lighter and what's darker. I'm asking myself that all the time. And now I'm going to go into some of the raw sienna mixed with a little bit of cad red and some medium. And I want to kind of just test this out just a little bit. It needs to be darker, so you have to ask yourself, am I hitting that? Sometimes you think it's going to be lighter and it's not, and so, but that forehead, even though it's in the dark, is going to pick up just a little bit of light because it's a plane that's almost in line with the light. Not quite. It's still in shadow, and then it's a bit red, so at the same time, then I'm going to take advantage of what's underneath and just hit that with my little rag like this so that it kind of gets caught up in there, but it isn't, in your face. So Now I'm going to take this darker burnt sienna with cad red, and we're going to come around here, finding the cheek. Okay, there. Yeah, that's what I want to see. All right, and the eye, the puffiness above the eye right there helps to shape out that little area there. So very carefully, if I don't make it too thick, then I can still take advantage of the darkness that's still on the canvas from the previous underpainting. If I make it too thick, it gets lost. Okay, so now we're going to go in with a little bit of the yellow ochre. I've got to be very careful not to make that too dark, otherwise then it just disappears and the bridge of the nose goes back into space and you're lost in space. Okay, so there we go. Just mess that around a little bit here and there, and bring that muscle up slowly, and then try to figure out how this chin kind of comes out. There is a dark shadow underneath underneath the lip. And so that's what makes that lip stick out. So it's going to be kind of in this dark purplish tone, which I've made with the quinacridone violet and a tiny bit of teal, along with a bit of that first row of skin tones. So I add a little bit of flesh tone to it with that purple, and it makes it work. And then I'm going to throw a little bit of that purplish flesh tone down into this lavender color, down into the side of the shirt underneath the neck, and then this part, I think I'm going to cool that down with a little bit of purple too. Not too much, I don't want it to be too colored, because I really like this a lot. It's very sweet and very classic, isn't it? So let's go back up in here into the nose. I'm going to darken that up with some of that purple and give it a little bit more of a darkness as it goes back into space. That's coming along. Okay, and then I think I will take a little bit more of the purple underneath the eye, just a tiny bit. Don't want to give her baggy eyes as a baby. And then I'll take some of that bluish purple and put it across as the face turns back into space. And then I'll come back in with the reddish color, maybe just some cadmium red light, and merge that into that dark purple. Okay, I'm just playing around, everybody, but I think it's working. Okay. Again, this might take you a couple of tries, everybody, but if you keep working at it, you will learn how to do it. And then I'm going to just take what's on my brush, just kind of purpley stuff, whatever's on I'm cleaning my brush on this poor baby's chest. That's okay, because I want it to kind of all be part of the same kind of thing. So I'm going to also, I think I want to put a little bit more red on that, what will be eventually her little collar, or that little divot in her neck. It just picks up a little heat there. And then on this chin, I'm going to round this part out and merge it together. I'm also going to come in on this side of the mouth and make that into a little bit of a lavender color. So I've got light yellow on one side and lavender on the other. Light yellow in the yellow ochre is the light, and the lavender is the shadow. A little bit of that shadow again under the eye, and then up in here I can darken this just a little bit. Isn't this fascinating? I just think it's quite fun. It really is. And so now I'm going to come in. I'm keeping this, relatively monochrome still. I'm not getting too, I'm not putting bright orange flowers on top or whatever. But I'm just thinking still in the shadows. So I'm putting some purple shadows into the shadows. I'm not making it into any particular color as such, just kind of nondescript. Purple in the shadows, yellow in the lights. And then I'll fuzz that out a little bit. Okay. I do think I'm gonna, let's see, let me go a little bit more into that yellow right here. It's not about the shirt, Nettie. Nettie K, put your brush down and do something else. Okay, anyway, all right, so now, before I go anywhere else, I do want to put just a tiny bit of light on here so it makes sense, and a little bit here. I'm just kind of fuzzing it up, and we'll play a little bit more with that a little bit later. Okay, I'll put that little light where the cheek is coming out a tiny bit there. All right, that makes sense, and right in here. And I think I'm going to have to really take some close looks at this photo at some point, but anyway, you get the idea. Now, on top of that, I'll now go in. I hope I've got some good fresh white somewhere in here. Yeah. And some pink. And we're going to just create this kind of a lighter pink hat like that. So I'm just focusing on the lights, everybody. I'm focusing on the lights of the hat and leaving a little bit of that, of the underpainting shadow intact. You don't want to do all that work and then lose it. If you can help it, try not to. You're enhancing what's underneath. Okay, you're not losing it. You're going to enhance it. And so here's that pink again. I'm going to come up here, and we're putting that there. And then the top of the little hat is going to have this wonderful little soft pink. And then I have a few strokes over here. We've got a little, this is the little tie, and then there's another little tie down here. I don't know, I'm just going to put a few little doodads and I'll work in a knot. Now, over on this side, it's darker, so I'm going to take a little bit of that quinacridone violet and some of the pink. So I'm going to darken up the pink with quinacridone violet, add a little bit of medium to it, and we're going to just throw that in and hope it looks right. Okay. It feels a little bit too purple, so I'm going to throw in some cadmium red. And that still feels too purple, so then it's always a matter of adjust. If you can't adjust, don't paint. I'm going to now go into our shadow purple and see if that works even better. Yeah, it does. Okay, that was a funny little muffin. I'm going to throw some of that purple into the hat there where we're in the shadow, and then that'll make sense over here. Yeah, a little bit of that same purple. And now we got to come back in with that coordinating pink again. There. You thought I'd lost it. Just a little bit. You know, the worst thing that can happen is just having to wipe it off and start over. You just want this to look like it's in the shadow a little bit, so sometimes you can get it right and sometimes you can't. Okay, and then this will have a little shadow under here. There's some other shadows, which I'll take a little bit more time with when I have time. That'd be fun. I'm going to take a little bit of teal and throw that into the shadow. That pushes it back. So teal with that pink, I think that works a whole lot better. Don't get too intense. Talking to myself. Don't get too intense because it's a baby. Okay, now I kind of like that. Ooh, that's nice, isn't it? Yes. Okay, so now I'm going to go back in with my burnt sienna. And I'm going to re-enhance. Oops, that's got pink on it. That's not good. Burnt sienna with the medium. And I think I might add a little bit of that teal just to darken it. Okay, yeah, I darkened it with a little bit of teal. Coming up around the hat a little bit. I'm going to reshape that hat a tiny bit. And then I'm going to take that paint that's in the background, the teal with a burnt umber, burnt sienna, good Lord, burnt. And I'm going to, I darken that up a little bit, but I want to keep it nice and warm with the sienna and throwing that in like that. And then I'm going to come in with a Q-tip around the edge of the hat and merge just by fuzzing it out. I'm kind of merging the background in, fuzzing out that hat into the background. And the reason I'm doing that is because it's round. Most things are. Most things don't have a sharp edge, everybody, especially babies and cloth. And so if I soften that up like that, so the same thing I would do, I do the same thing over here with maybe a light yellow or whatever light color, and I would just merge that, merge the hat in with the background and soften up that edge, and then keep working it just a little bit here and there. I want to be able to find that nose, so I need a little shadow right under there. Okay. And that's just scrumptious. I think so. I'm going to darken the nose there. And I think I'll give it just a little tiny bit of red on the nose. Bring it out and reshape the mouth a little bit. Like that. A little bit like that. And then I've got this dumb thing sticking out. I can feel that. Take a little rag. And then I will, and so she doesn't look like she's wearing lipstick, let's back that off a little bit with a bit of a highlight right here, like that. And I'll take that red down just a bit. Nice and loose. Well, I really like how this one's coming along, don't you? I hope you try this at home and let me know in the comments below if you do, all right? Now, next time we meet, who knows what we're going to be painting. It'll probably be a dog. I'm not sure, but I think I'm going to be painting a little terrier or a chihuahua on our next YouTube lesson. But our next Patreon lesson will be on the enlarged full-bodied painting of Piper that I just showed you earlier in the video. So I do hope you'll take a look at my Patreon channel, and if it moves you, that you'll become a member. All right. Talk to you again soon. I hope you have a really great day. Bye-bye for now.